Results, when it comes to your health and fitness stuff, they don't always show up right away. You know that. But it doesn't mean your efforts aren't paying off. And I think a lot of us, we give in to not seeing the results fast enough. So we start pivoting and jumping ship to different things or giving up altogether. So the key is really to trust the process. And I get it. I mean, when we're so frustrated with ourselves, then we really want results to happen now. It's really tough. But when you can really trust the process, even when it feels like nothing is happening, that can be a big breakthrough for you and help you reach any goal. I mean, it's easy to get discouraged when you don't see immediate changes from your fitness plan. So it's just real transformation takes time. And when you can get behind that and look at it as a lifelong journey, as opposed to this little, oh my gosh, I'm going to do a little 30-day thing, hope and pray it works and that I'll have everything figured out. Unless you're changing the internal work and really dialing into the things we're going to talk about on this podcast, chances are it'll be an on again, off again thing. And that often creates a lot of frustration in this cycle. So every small action that you take it's a step closer to your goals, even if you can't see the results right now. That was a big game changer for me. I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. But before we dive into the great details of all this podcasting stuff, I do want to remind you, if you are feeling uncertain about your progress or you need that boost of motivation, I'm here to help. Head over to talktoperry.com. Once again, it's talktoperry.com, all spelled out, my first name, Perry, where we can connect. We can recharge your energy and help you really elevate that journey ahead for you. Talktoperry.com. I'll drop that down in the lower third there for those of you watching on YouTube. So the hardest part of any fitness journey is sticking with it, especially when the results aren't obvious. Now, for many people, and I've talked about this on the podcast before, just the habit of getting started at every workout is a big game changer, because a lot of times people just don't ever start. They try to get motivated to start, but they don't actually start on a consistent basis. Once you've got that going and the results aren't maybe visible, or you're not seeing it on the scale, or you're not seeing it in the mirror, that can make it really challenging and really make you question, did I pick the right plan? Maybe I should be doing something else. A friend of mine lost 20 pounds in the first week. You start to go through all these stories. What am I doing wrong? I'm doing everything right. Why isn't this working? But those who succeed are the ones who keep going no matter what. So if you think of your fitness plan like planting a seed. I used the analogy of a garden before, but you water it, you give it sunlight, and then you wait. You're not like determined, hey, grow now, you must grow super fast. You don't dig it up trying to get evidence that there's roots growing or anything else. You wait for a while. It's going to take some time, okay? And you can't see the things that are going on under the ground unless you dig it up. And before you know it, the seed breaks open, it breaks through the soil, it starts growing, and you see little wins, little gains. Now, you're still not going and it's not bearing fruit. Let's say it's a plant that bears fruit. But you get the idea. You get the analogy or the metaphor that I'm using here. But, sometimes things are invisible, but they're there. The evidence there. That's why I'm saying trust the process. So here's a few strategies to that will work, because I remember in the beginning when I wasn't seeing any evidence of anything working, and it seemed like another time that I was just going to give up and, hopefully get back to my fitness plan again, maybe someday down the line when the planets align and I'm feeling more into it. But I caught myself at that point, and I realized, you know what? I'm just going to pay attention and embrace the journey. I'm just going to trust the process. I'm going to keep going, even when I'm frustrated, even when I don't feel like it, even when I'm unmotivated, even when I'm feeling a little bit off, even when I'm overwhelmed, overworked, whatever it is, I'm going to keep going. And that was the big breakthrough. I figured out ways to show up no matter what. And even if there weren't the best workouts in the world, and I didn't put forth 100% effort, I still showed up. I kept going. I kept going. And as I kept going, my workouts improved. I improved. My mindset improved. My performance improved. My productivity improved. My focus, my drive, everything. But I kept trusting the process. And then I just made it a lifelong commitment, a lifelong journey. So here's a few strategies for you that can help. One is tracking the small wins. I was opposed to tracking at the beginning. I'm like, oh, I don't want to track. I don't want to journal anything. I don't want to record anything. Even with the weights or the reps I was doing, I didn't want to do it. I looked at it as a tedious thing, and I'm like, nope, I'm not doing it. And so as I went through this journey this time, I realized there are things I'm resisting, and that was a big indicator of the very thing I'm resisting is the thing I need to break through. So you start to you'll notice small changes. You'll notice the wins. You'll notice the ways to acknowledge yourself when you start recording the tiniest little things, the tiniest little progress. So my progress sheet was a calendar, and I put an X. I did, a little X on the. I didn't even track to write it down, but my one X meant I showed up for my workout, or one line did. The other one meant I showed up for my nutrition. Next day. My goal was at least 90 days straight. Now I went a lot more, but I just noticed things along the way, and I started taking note of those. Sleeping more energetic, feeling more productive. Just these things that seemed so abstract to me at the beginning that I didn't know how I was ever going to get back to having those things. Wow, there it is. I'm doing more reps. I've got more push-ups there. Last week, I could only do 2 push-ups, and this week 5? How did I go beyond doubling? So even if you had a simple fitness journal, that would work. Here's another one, reframing obstacles. Instead of seeing them as little challenges or setbacks, a lot of people call them, or people will give them a title like, oh, these are the reasons why I can't. Look at them as this is evidence of why you can and how you can, and this opportunity for you to grow stronger. Life is testing you, and so each obstacle, it's a chance to learn something new if you're really paying attention. And that was another big game changer for me. I always say the big game changer, but that was a game changer because you learn new things about yourself. You learn about your limits. You learn about when you're defending limitations and how that's blocking you. You know how people will say, get out of your own way? That's a big one. You start embracing the moments to help you stay on course. Another one, you may have heard progress over perfection. Let's take it and stack on that with consistency over perfection. Don't aim to be perfect. A lot of times people are like, if I can't be perfect, if I can't be dialed in 100%, I'm not in. Well, that's just self-talk and dialogue from your past that you embraced, you're going to defend, and eventually it's not going to be perfect and you're going to quit. So you're already talking yourself into quitting. Say, well, you know what? I'm going to go for consistency. That's what I did. Consistency, my little X on the thing. Consistency. I was okay if I didn't miss one. Now, I will admit that I was like, no, I'm determined. I'm going to run the table. But I was just aiming to be consistent with my habits. If I missed a workout or had an off day, I'm like, I'm going to show up the next day. I wasn't going to make myself a false promise that I've got to make up for that on the weekend or beat myself up or go and gorge on a bunch of food because I'm mad at myself. What matters was, and it will matter to you, is that you get back on track the next day. And then reflecting, just as I'm reflecting on my own journey, there were a lot of times that self-doubt popped in, or I had an hour commute home and I would negotiate with myself on, well, maybe today's leg day. Maybe you do that on Saturday instead. Maybe today's a rest day. And I would have this conversation with myself to talk myself out of showing up for myself that day. And guess what? When I got home, got the workout clothes on and said, I've got to commit at least 15 minutes, and then I'd get leg day done. It would just be one of those things where by trusting the process and staying consistent, I eventually saw changes, and mind-blowing changes to myself. I mean, it wasn't always easy, but it was totally worth it and going forward. So, I mean, as we continue this conversation, keep in mind maintaining your energy and focus. It's key. And, that's why I say head over to talktoperry.com if you do need a recharge or someone to talk to about your goals. Really. I mean, a lot of times we let, I can do it on my own sort of thinking happen, and we let ideas swim and we don't take action. And eventually it kind of the desire to get in shape fades away until it rears its head again, a few months later when it's the holidays or after the holidays, whatever it is. So your road to fitness, your fitness goals might not always be smooth, probably won't be. But the results, they might take longer than you want. They might happen faster than you thought would happen as well. When you trust the process, it's every step forward, no matter how small. Just don't be attached to the outcome. Just look at this like, hey, this is progress. I'm going to trust the process. I'm going to stay consistent. I'm going to embrace the challenges. They're all a part of the journey. And that's going to lead to lifelong lasting success. So remember, your growth, it's happening, even if you can't see it yet, just like the seed, right? So it's committing to yourself and your goals and choosing to figure out new ways, looking at possibilities, learning and growing, and keep moving forward. You've got this, my friend. I'd love to hear your top takeaway from today. Drop those down in the comments. I will reply to those and say hey to you. You absolutely rock, my friend. And as always, remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week. That's another Power Blast podcast in the books. Thanks so much for tuning in. And remember, when you are ready to recharge your battery, make sure you go to talktoperry.com. That's talktoperry.com. That's Perry. And I want to listen. I want to hear, what's going on. I want to help you in that 15-minute call to recharge your battery and reclaim your power so that you're off and running and creating massive momentum toward your dream. Also, every day, I am delivering more motivation, support, tips, and strategies inside my free community with amazing people like yourself. And we are conquering the mindset and the fitness. I do 52 weeks of free training in there. Plus, I coach and I mentor people, as well as give you access to tons of resources and guides. It's called my Upside Down Fitness community because we work on a lot of mindset stuff, the inside stuff. And we're a fun group of people striving to make healthier habits in this awesome chapter of life. So make sure you get in there. I promise you'll absolutely love it. Just head over to UpsideDownFit.com and you can get into the group. And hey, you would be an awesome friend if you get over to iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcast and leave an honest rating and review for the Power Blast podcast. It helps awesome people like you find the show even faster, and that's who I'm looking for, awesome people like you. That's all I have for this week, my friend, and just to let you know, you absolutely rock. That's all I have for this week. I'll see you on the next Power Blast podcast, and always remember, it's never too late. We'll see you next week.